Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today we're going to be doing a really simple memory decks card for the Advent season. I've been working through By the Well for God's Witness to the Wonder, and today we're on day 8. But how I'm making this memory decks card a little bit special is I'm using this Hug Snug seam binding and I'm coloring it to match the kit colors. So I took this red candy apple and then I also used some frayed burlap, distress ink spray, and then I am also going in with this vintage photo, which is a distress oxide spray. I'm trying to make this kind of muddy, dirty red color. I am going to color match it, so you'll see I end up having to use a little bit more of colors, but what's cool about this seam binding is you can leave it in a baggie and wrap some rubber bands around it and keep it wet for a while, and it'll kind of get this really fun crinkle look. But you can also kind of get a crinkled look the same way if you just crinkle it as you're drying it, so no big deal. But I am looking at the different colors that are in the cards for today, and I noticed that the red that I have is a little too bright. I do not have all the colors of distress ink and oxides and sprays, so I decided to go along with some of my ink pads. So this is that aged mahogany color, but once I add this to the whole strand of seam binding, I realized that it's basically just the color that I had already made, maybe a little bit more dirty or brown, but it wasn't what I was looking for. And when I rematched it, I realized that the colors that I was really looking for was more of a burgundy or a purplish red. So I end up grabbing this Seedless Preserves, and look how bright that is. It is crazy bright on this black background, but it is perfect, the color that it makes with this purple added in. It really brings in more of this deeper red tone and makes this yummy kind of burgundy color. Now what happens is when you dry it, it does lighten up just a little bit. That's the issues that I had the first time around, is because I thought I had this nice deep dark red color, but once I dried it, it got lighter. So here I am showing you the colors that I used on top of the sprays, and then I'm going to color match it, and it's perfect. I love the look of it. I'm so excited about it. And I am grabbing my scripture cards right here and I'm gluing them back to back, simply because I only need one of the scripture cards, and then I'm adding my corner rounder to all the sides, and I will punch my memory decks card holes. I've always really liked mixing colors and finding that perfect color match, and so having this seam binding, which is just pure white, and being able to add different colors to it just brings me so much joy. So I've kind of just eyeballed 2 holes to punch the center of this card. That way I can thread it through the back and make a nice bow on the front side of this card. And that's just going to make this card pop a little bit. There's nothing extremely special about this card. I'm not changing it in any particular way much. So this just adds that little something extra. So now I'm ready to move on to the back side of this card. I am going to be using that free printable pocket, as well as a spiritual prescription card and this die set. Now this is the Varsity Alphanumeric die set from Tim Holtz. It probably doesn't match this kit perfectly, but what I love about this die set is that when you use flocked paper and felt, it makes the words stand out, and that is what I want. I want it to say God with us, because that is what Emmanuel means, and I thought that was important to stand out. So this may be a little bit of a stretch for some, but this is what I think of. When I see those varsity letters, it reminds me of a team. And I know that we, as God's elect, are on God's team. We're on God's side, and God is with us. So that is why I also think these varsity alphanumeric dies work. Now these dies are a little bit of a hassle. That's why I did them off screen. They have 1 die for each one, and you send it through and it cuts out both the inner and outer sections. So you'll have to send it through twice to get like the flocked paper and the felt. So it's not that big of a deal for me, but it does take a little bit of time. So that's why I did this off camera. I am using my Barely Arts precision glue for gluing everything down. Now it does seep in really fast to this felt, so you kind of have to work fast. It does dry clear though, so even though you might see some glue marks as I'm gluing everything down through the felt, it does end up drying clear. Now, don't worry, I didn't forget the width. I will be adding that later, but for right now, I'm going to just make sure it fits all in the pocket. And then I have this number 8. I had forgotten that I had the number 8 on the pocket already, but why not add another one? So I go ahead and add this also to the pocket, this number 8 felt varsity letter, and then I'm going to work on distressing all the outer edges of everything. Now I'm sticking with the same distress ink throughout this whole advent calendar. And so I'm using the Vintage Photo Distress ink. It came in this little mini pack of neutrals. And so that is what I'm reaching for every time I go to distress any of the edges of all the cards. If you've been watching any of my videos for any amount of time, you probably know though that frayed burlap is my number one color, at least in the distress oxides. And so on my Christmas list, I actually have the frayed burlap in distress ink. I do not have all the distress inks. I only have a couple. And so that one is definitely on my list. So hopefully I'll get that so I can distress with my favorite color. But here I am adding that width to this card. I am using that gingerbread like color again. This is my favorite color that came in the kit this month. I love the browns. And then I will add this to my little pocket. And then before I add the manual and keep it there, I am going to hole punch it as well and just make a little slip knot through it so I have another textured element on the back side of this card, because with it not having anything, it just looked a little off. So that is basically it, guys. A very simple card for today, one that you could recreate so easily, even if you don't have the die set. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can go ahead and follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. I will link everything I use down below, and if you haven't seen day 7 yet, I'll link that next. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.